noisy in here because we are driving right now. Which, you know, don't film and drive, guys. It's dangerous. But no, we're all right. We're lucky that we're on a long straightaway for quite some time, for the next 20 miles here. So we're on our adventures heading towards Richmond. It's about 2 hours or so of a drive. We'll be there all weekend. Gaming. There's a couple of our buddies that live down there, so we're going to be hanging out with them, playing some Commander, playing some Modern, and some side events, getting some artist signatures. That's going to be a part of the weekend, picking up some new cards, selling some cards. So we got a lot of stuff planned, and we brought some One Piece so we can maybe teach some people how to play One Piece TCG, maybe teach some people how to play Modern that haven't played Modern before. But we're going to bring you along so you guys can see what SCG Con Richmond is all about. All right, so we made it to SCG Con Richmond. We're in the hotel room. You can see a little bit of Richmond out the window here. So we're very close to the convention center. You can see it's like literally right there. It's connected to the hotel, so we can just kind of walk. I love being able to do that and just sit there and be like, all right, I don't have to stress about transportation or anything like that. In cities, I can just, you know, park somewhere and have my car stay there the whole time and not have to stress about it. So we're gonna be walking over to the convention center in a little bit, show you guys what that is like, be able to go do some buying, some selling, be able to do some side events, basically just kind of spend the weekend having fun and gaming. But one of the things that we like to do is show off some of the decks that we brought. So let's do that real quick before we get to the actual convention center. All right, so I brought 2 quivers this time. This one is mainly Modern, but it's got some other goodies. So let's take a look and see, so I can show you. If you guys aren't familiar with quivers, they are amazing. I have a bunch of them. You know, if you're looking for an easier way, like I have that giant backpack over there that I always like to bring, but you know, if you just are like, oh, I just want to bring all the things that I need, the quivers are amazing. Like I've got dice in here, a pen, notepad here, but this is kind of the modern decks that I decided to bring with me. So this is Tron up here. What do we got over here? Yawgmoth combo. So Golgar Yawgmoth. What is this? Murktide. Brought some Murktide and Burn. And then I've got my Infect deck as well in a separate pile. Then we've got, of course, our Law deck and our Mono Blue Croc deck. So we can teach people how to play One Piece. This One Piece is a lot of fun. And then my favorite commander, Garth One Eye there. So this is kind of that first quiver of kind of more 1v1 style of decks, but also if we go for, this deck's pretty strong. It just does the thing, can make infinite Black Lotuses and, you know, combo win. So it's, I've kind of just separated it from the others. Normally I have quivers separated by power level because I have multiple quivers and multiple commander decks, and that's just one way that I found to make it easier on me of saying, oh, okay, well, my higher power quiver is going to be this color. But you know, this time around, I brought a bunch of different things. See, again, tokens, all the things that you need. Infinite tokens are great to have in here. I've got a couple in here as well as my backpack over there. But so let's take a look at some of the commander decks that we brought. Kind of got the lower power level, and then it scales up to a little bit higher. So even though you look at Kenrith and go, what, that's your lower power one? That's just because it's a Kenrith voting deck. The whole thing is like, I'm gonna be voting, and you know, whenever somebody votes, we get to do scrying. Like it's not going to win the traditional way. Like it's got Approach Second Sun and a couple of like win cons from having 13 cards in your hand, you know, things like that. But it's like, it's lower power because it's just kind of like a dirtle do nothing, let's vote and just add a little bit of chaos to the pod. This is one we just made, the Felix 5 boots. I've got to pick up a couple more swords. I already have one set, but they're in the cube, so I'm really trying hard to keep cube and commander stuff separate best I can. So we need to pick up a couple more swords, but it's all about the attack triggers for dealing damage. So that's why all the swords work out amazing in it because you have to deal damage to a player. So it's got some lower the ground unblockable creatures. We of course have some evasion, some infect in here because infect is not a triggered ability. Poisonous is, but things like Finn is also going to be counting towards that. I don't know if he's anywhere near here, but I would also like to update the mana base for it. It's fine. It's the pre-con mana base, so it's like, it's fine. It's not great if I'm going to start adding in things like Sky Shroud Claim and you know, ways to tutor for more ramp, do it that way, that I just have to adjust it. The other pre-con that's slightly upgraded and updated, we've got Stella Lee. It's very similar to the original. There's a couple of cards in here that I've just kind of had in Is It that I've been like, yeah, let's add them in here. So it's like just kind of powered up slightly, but it's still like you can see kind of the power level of what these first couple of decks are trying to do here. So now we can get into kind of a little bit higher power of what their goal is. Slicer, it makes the pod crazy because, you know, you're passing Slicer around and it's got a lot of chaos in here. I don't know if we can find any of this. Oh yeah, Furnace of Wrath. Let's deal some additional damage in here. Yeah, additional damage. You know, so we can do a lot with it. It definitely warps games. If you're not familiar with it, the goal is to kind of get Slicer out as quick as possible and just start passing it around the table so everybody can kill each other until you're left with one person that has already taken commander damage off of somebody else hitting them with Slicer. So you really just got to hit them one or two more times to kind of close out the game. Then we've got Orvar. I love playing just blue stuff. Sultai is my favorite color combination. So we had to bring just like some monocolored decks, mono red, and as well as our all form over here, so which is mono blue. You're basically going to be making duplicates of mana rocks and trying to go infinite with mana to end up drawing your whole deck or forcing your opponents to mill out and draw their whole decks. Like there's brain geysers and things like that in here, so it's got some goodies. So we're happy. We'll probably get brain geysers maybe signed this weekend. And then last, we've got our Hapatra Vizier of Poison. So we talked about having the Yawgmoth combo. This is just Yawgmoth combo as a commander deck. It runs Yawgmoth in here, so my goal is to try to tutor up and get pieces to combo off with that. Not as many mana rocks in this. I'm running like Collector Oof and ways to destroy artifacts, so I'm trying a different route, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we've got kind of higher mana and color combination, but lower power, and then we slowly work our way up to even Garth, which is the highest that I brought today. But yeah, that's the decks that we've got for today. But let's kind of go and show you guys what the convention's like.
Oh yeah, I did put Brain Geyser in this. So.
You did or did not?
I did.
Oh, that's my least favorite. First pod of Command Fest. We'll see how it goes.
This is actually worse.
No!
It's gonna go down to 5? No, I'm totally gonna do it. That one had...
All right, so if you guys have seen my Infect deck at all, or seen some of my posts on Twitter, you know that I am a huge fan of signed cards. So there's a couple booths at SCGCon that had some very, binders that were full of signed cards and rarities and oddities and things like that. So I had to go through and just like look through the binders and show off a little bit about what they were. And of course, I found some cards in there, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the video. But, just wanted to show off a little bit here in this clip of kind of just what some of these events are like, because you got to experience and see so much product and cards that you wouldn't normally see at your LGS that you only can find at these types of events. So it was awesome to be able to go there and start digging through and finding cool cards like this. All right, this is the other thing that I loved about the event. There were a couple of booths, 3 in particular that we stopped at. This in the video here is just one of them, but they had these kind of bulk boxes. I call them bulk, but it's like, hey, here's cards that are used, played in multiple formats that you're going to love and you're going to want to pick up. Some of them are played, some of them might be damaged, and you can find them relatively cheap. Usually it's from that like $1 all the way up to $10 depending on the boxes. I think these ones specifically went up to like $8 for things. So we kind of went through and found a couple of goodies, maybe spent like $60 in like at each box or something like that.
All right, the goal is to try to build some burn this weekend, and we're getting some other goodies too because why not? But we were like finding Eidolons is great.
Clutch.
Lava spikes are nice. The Goblin Guides over here.
This can be flex.
All right.
Just to draw some cards, that's fine.
We like it. We like it. Good starting point.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mindslaver, what? Playing is cool.
Like, keep
Double
track of
down.
who's got what, or we could just be like, here's the ones that I specifically want. It's in your deck. We're gonna take that out at the end, and.
All right. Day 2 of SCG Con Richmond is over with, done with. You guys got to see a lot of footage of us hunting cards. You got to see Ruben on the hunt to finish a modern deck. You got very close. We took a break from hunting cards and doing all that adventures to play in our sealed event, which you guys got to see our Thunder Junction sealed pull. It was a lot of fun. We played very well. We won a match because we were able to fling one of our creatures for exact damage in turns. So it was our turn 3, and when it's two-headed giant, there's only 3 turns instead of the 5 turns that it normally is when you guys are playing like one-on-one. So it was very cool on our second turn, knowing that we had to win that turn or it would be a draw. We were able to fling and get that victory. The next 2 games, we got absolutely demolished by green decks. Green is the best color in Thunder Junction, at least in sealed. That's what it seems like. We had not been doing any draft or anything leading up to it, so that was kind of our first real interaction with Thunder Junction, but it was very cool to kind of experience that and see just how powerful green is. If we do it again, which hopefully we will, we'll be able to hopefully get green. We didn't have as big of a green pool. Like, we were going back and forth about maybe a green-white thing, and maybe that could have worked, but like the red-white was just the best. Maybe we could have done a green-black since we had some decent black stuff, but like we didn't have as much green or the bombs that we were seeing a lot of people have. So made it a little bit tough, but it was a lot of fun. We picked up a lot of cards. I'm gonna show you guys in a second what some of these cards are. Went hunting for signatures because a couple of the booths had their big bulk boxes where you could be able to pull out a bunch of cards. We went through and pulled out a bunch of cards. And then there was a few particular booths that had binders with sealed cards, which you guys got to see earlier in the video. So I'll show you guys some of the stuff that we pulled. We got to hang out with some of the artists and get some of our cards signed. So great day of gaming. We did get to do a couple of Commander games with some of our buddies that live down in the area. So that was awesome to be able to do. So a phenomenal day 2 of SCGCon, and we of course got the morning where we're just gonna go and hang out, play some One Piece with some buddies, maybe get a few more signatures of a couple cards that we need, and just kind of do that sort of rummaging around of stuff. But let's show you guys what we were able to pick up at the event this weekend. All right, let's start over here. So these cards we own, and we wanted to get signatures. For those that have seen, Phoenix is my first ever commander. So I really wanted to be able to get the signature. I do the double sleeve here for it, and so that, it looks so good on that. Like, still have my Phoenix deck together. Sakashima here is in my Garth deck, so there's a couple of pieces for that I wanted to get, and Ponder. I'm working on putting back together my Legacy decks. Some of the buddies at the shop, the LGS, where we do all of our modern recordings, are playing Legacy again. So I was like, yeah, I play Infect and Legacy, so I just figured why not get some Ponders in there and get them signed, because very specific decks, I'm like, yes, I want to make sure that I have signed cards for it. So Garth is my favorite commander deck, my first commander deck, and then of course for Legacy here. Speaking of commander stuff, if you guys know how Garth is, he's my favorite. Tap it, you get to be able to cast a bunch of stuff. So I've got, of course, copies. This is my extra deck. That, and of course these over here, but we'll talk a little bit about it. So my extra deck, Garth lets me cast specific spells, so I'm able to cast things like Black Lotus, I'm able to cast things like Regrowth, Disenchant. I need to get additional copies. I started collecting Terrors, so these ones I of course had. I picked this one up this weekend, which is very, very cool to see. Then the Brain Geysers, one of course, for my Orvar deck. That's why it's got this sweet border around it, those inner sleeves. And this is for the Garth deck. So I had to get those signed for both of those decks. Was able to pick up this new Shivan Dragon because I have a collection of Shivan Dragons now that I've been kind of building up, because that's one of the ways the deck wins, is it makes kind of infinite Shivan Dragons. But this is that super cool comic one from Japan that they were able to do. So I saw it was like $10 or something for it. It's like, sweet, all right, let's do it. So we can add that to our Garth deck. Then I was able to go through those binders and pick up a couple of other goodies here. You see a signed foil Groundswell in the wild, you've got to pick it up if you're an Infect player, right? I do have 2 play sets of signed Groundswells at home, but you gotta give it a home too. Grand Arbiter, I have a Quain deck. It's basically a blue-white control commander deck that I've since taken Quain out of it and needed a new commander. And my buddy, who likes to be mean to people, said, hey, what about a Grand Abolisher? And I said, okay, I sure. And so I found this one signed. I was like, yeah, why not? This is the weekend of Mindslaver. This is on our sealed pull. So, guess we're Mindslavering a lot more. Lightning Bolts, signed Lightning Bolts are sweet. The Sensei's Divining Stop is signed, so that was nice. I was able to pick that up pretty cheap, which is sweet. And then I wasn't looking for them, I promise you. I was not on the hunt for these, but they just jumped out at me. 25 a piece for these sweet signed one. One is foil. I do have 2 I have 2 foils. I have this edition at home, not signed. And if you guys have seen my Infect deck, and if you haven't, it's all over the Twitters and stuff like that, where I've laid it all out for you to see. It's pretty much all signed. I need Venerated Rot Priest and I need like a few land sign, which I think is just, I started adding in that blue-green fast land in my Infect deck, so that's not signed. But all the other lands, the fetches, the shocks, are all signed. The Inkmoth Nexus are signed. So those are the signed cards that we picked up this weekend. And then I got, these are all like the bulk stuff from like the bulk. So these are like damaged or stuff like that. There's like a slight little ding right there. You can't really see it well on camera. You can see the Dark Depths a little bit beat up. Karn, same kind of thing. These are, of course, for some modern stuff as well as some other things. I needed to pick some up this weekend. Got one in that foil, like alt art style, and then was able to pick up this foreign. I'm not a big fan of the foreign cards, but when there's cards like this where it's like very obvious, we know what this does, that's great. I needed to pick up a Fairy Mastermind. Hadn't yet. No more of our just like value cards. This was $1 for this. I was like, Mill was one of my favorite modern decks. I still have it, even though we don't run breaking and entering, but you know, the cool art for it is sweet. Little foil counterspell. You know, you can always use Nature's Lures. The Fatal Pushes that were foil. I really like this art for the Whisper Silk Cloak. You don't often see this one, this old art for it, so I was like, yeah, let's pick that up. You know, always need Basalt Monoliths, Talismans as well. I have a Vintage Cube, so I picked up this factory just for that, of course. And then I don't play red as much, but I have a couple of Izzet decks, so, you know, picking up these. A lot of my friends have, of course, zombie decks, so this is just there to kind of troll them a little bit. We'll see if it actually makes the cut and stuff. And then one of my favorites, I picked up a lot of these. I talked about it this weekend too. Like, I'm gonna run it in, of course, my Thopter Foundry deck in Modern, but I also like running it in a lot of my blue decks in Commander. So those are a lot of the stuff we picked up. Really, really awesome weekend. Got some really cool stuff. So hope you guys have been enjoying it. But I think that's gonna do it for this episode. This little kind of dive into SCGCon and what that stuff is like. So I hope you guys have been enjoying all the content we've been doing. Of course, got more modern content coming up on a weekly basis. We might even start pumping things out twice a week, coming up on Mondays and Fridays for you guys to be able to enjoy, or Mondays, Thursday. We're still working with the way it's going to work for content, but there's going to be a lot more content coming out in the near futures as we're ramping up, getting closer to Modern Horizons 3. But that's going to do it for this. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, and I'll see you all next game.